update and improve on the guidance we put together 18 months ago for 12 fire critical assets. I'm just looking, most of the people that I can see on the screen have already attended one of the roundtables, though not all. So, George, can you give us put things into context for us, but possibly quite briefly, on the basis that I think probably about 75% of the people have already heard it. Is that possible?
It's difficult, but I'll do my best. Yeah.
Fantastic. Cheers.
It's also interesting that I don't know if you saw the post that I put out last night, but the building safety regulator is no longer being regulated, or will no longer be regulated under the HSE, which is really quite interesting. Yeah, but anyway, we can perhaps talk about that another time.
Well, we'll see.
Thought I'd
We'll see how quickly we get through, George. If we get through it quite quickly, we'll have some time at the end.
Cool. Okay.
All right, mate. Do you want to take it away?
Yeah. Yeah. So just explain broadly where we fit in the rest of the ecosystem. We basically what BIM4Housing is about is really moving BIM away from being just about 3D modeling to being about information management. So the purpose of this is to basically look, we've got 6 working groups that meet every couple of months to determine what information could make jobs easier. And as a result of that, we generate work streams who actually carry out activities to improve, for example, data and produce standardized data templates, reusable libraries, the documents that we're actually going through, the guidance that we're going through today. Sustainability is becoming increasingly important, and also methods of creating digital records. So what we're finding is that people are looking at information in different ways. So what if you're involved in specification or construction or maintenance or energy, you'll need different information for different purposes. So there's different levels of information needed. So we're going to go into quite a lot of detail about sprinkler systems today. Other people will just want to know that they're getting it from a qualified and responsible supplier. There's also information. What we've learned over the last couple of years is that there's some information that needs to be machine readable, but other information could actually be delivered as a data sheet, for example. So being able to identify which is which is going to be an important thing going forward. Also, things like safety case reports and inspections need to be live and kept up to date. It's not just a matter of do we have a document that's telling us where the risks are. It's a management exercise of keeping everything up to date. So, and we need to be able to tie things back to an individual asset record as well. So one of the challenges that we've got in some ways is that our work with golden threads has been in some ways too successful, because everybody's got a golden thread now. And that seems okay until you consider that for a door, you might have lots of different golden threads. You might have a construction golden thread, which is monitoring whether data is available, has been provided during the construction process, but also the manufacturer's information, and then also the location information. So all of that needs to then tie back to a single source. So, for example, you might have the manufacturer's data that's held in one data set. Then somebody will come along and do an inspection using a survey tool like PlanRadar or Hilti or Civica. All of these applications are creating data sets, And what we need to do is make sure they're all tying back to a unique record that is therefore being maintained, not create dozens of different golden threads that then are difficult to navigate around. That's not to say we shouldn't be using those applications. It's a matter of making sure that the data is open. Also, why do we need machine readable data? So in this case, we've got a data sheet, manufacturer's data sheet, that's got some really good information on it. But you'd need to be a human to read it and interpret it. So computers can't read this. Computers, for example, something important for a door is its fire rating. And yet, if we look at this one, it's described in a certain way. Another door data sheet is described completely differently. And yet another one here is described completely differently. So ideally, we need to get those standardized. So there's been a lot of work that we've been involved in over the last 2 or 3 years with people like Hacked to actually create standardized data templates for products so that we can then hold that information either for new build or for existing buildings. Now, the work to do that is worthwhile because then it means that we can automatically populate any software application that needs that data. So that's providing the golden thread, but it does need to be working to standardized data sets. So as part of that exercise, we've gone through and created standardized data libraries for 250 asset types that were common across all the housing associations, and we've gone through and we've allocated to them their uniclass definition and also their BIM classification, IFC. And we've also started to work towards picking up the different ways in which things are described. So here, for example, we've got an automatic opening vent, but in many cases, databases that will call it an AOV or a smoke vent or an automatic air vent. So all of those are right. It just means that we need to rationalize them. So we can use, in databases, we can use synonyms to prevent them from being duplicated. And that helps glue everything together. We've also gone through and identified that 71 of those asset types were fire related and 152 related to sort of the wider safety issue. So again, it enables us to sort of focus on things. The other aspect in terms of which data is needed, there's some information that's generic to any type of product. So here, for example, knowing who the manufacturer is, the model number, maybe the warranty description, what material it is, those are common to any type of product, and they're not they don't change whether you're talking about a smoke vent, a door, or a fire damper or a sprinkler. The thing that makes it different, that particular product different, are the attributes, and that's the thing that we're trying to cover today. And what attributes should we be including? The fact is that there's a wide range of them. So, for example, in the BIM world, we use something called IFC in a data dictionary. We've also got classification systems. CIBSE have got their own data set that is slightly different to what's in the BIM world. We've also got cost management systems that have got attribute information. And merchants, builders, merchants, and distributors, they use something called ETIM. So that's another one that needs to be managed. So in this particular case, this is just looking at the AOV we did last Monday. We've got a range of different attributes here that are important to an AOV, but actually they're not, in many cases, wind load rating is probably for a design perspective rather than from, for example, asset management. So therefore, we can perhaps trim some of these things back. It's a matter of what information is actually needed for a particular purpose. So the number of people on this call, so Alan Brinson, for example, helped us 18 months ago when we actually went through and set up the initial work for the Golden Thread Initiative, where we were advising the government in terms of what data is needed from an asset management perspective. And in many cases, when we asked the subject matter experts, most of the response that we got on all of the products was, it depends. There's so many variables that will depend on what information you need. And we've got building regs that you've got to comply with, but that refers to something like 800 different standards. So what we're trying to do is to focus around these 250 asset types, because if we can get that right, and more importantly, maybe the 150 or so that are safety related, it means that we've got a chance of getting on top of this. So in terms of the exercise last year, we focused on 12 asset types. As you see there, sprinkler systems. I don't know why we've got the graphic there for an AOV there. I've just picked up on that. We need a graphic, Alan, for a sprinkler system. And then the methodology that we've used on all of them is to really look and determine what information, what does an asset comprise, but importantly, also giving it some context for the questions that are being asked. So the idea of this is that a fire breaks out in a kitchen. The smoke potentially is the thing that we're trying to limit the spread of, because, as I've been told on these sessions, it tends to be smoke that kills rather than fire. But it's protected from spreading by a number of different asset types that need all to work in concert. So we've got compartmentation, smoke control, and detection systems, for example. And all of those need to be in the right state. So that then provides maybe a context in which the things are going to be measured. So this is the work that we're going to go through today. What are the component elements? What dependencies are there on other systems? What risk does the sprinkler system mitigate? Because that's something that the HSE is particularly bothered about. What risks what do people do to sprinkler systems to prevent them from working? And then what information do we need? So this is the data that I was just explaining earlier that we want to be able to, this is the additional attribute information, which is probably over and above the standard COBie. Some of this is COBie. But then what tasks are needed to ensure something gets maintained properly or installed properly as well? Levels of competency. And then finally, how do we ensure that any changes that take place, maybe during design to construction, or from an operational point of view, how do we ensure that changes are tracked? So that's it, Richard. I'll hand back to you.
Excellent. Okay, well, has anybody got any questions or points they want to quickly make on what George said? Yes, Stuart.
Thank you. I was a bit concerned that the slide which showed the information that was required for the product had no reference at all to any form of certification, either of the product or of the installer.
Yeah, that's when we get into the document, you'll see we have actually a section on competence and training.
Well, it's not. No, sorry. This is certification of the product.
Yes, that's in there as well.
It's not on that slide.
No. That's purely that the slides were purely an introduction to put things in context, Stuart.
Okay.
Okay, let's anybody else? Okay, we're going to dive straight in. What are the component elements of a sprinkler system? So if you want to have a glance down there and let us know if there's anything missing. Oh, let me just say, this meeting is recorded and we do which you'll have access to, and we also do a high points document, sort of high points minutes of the meeting itself. Now they include everything in the chat. So use the chat, whether it's something or a comment you want to make that's not directly relevant to this document but is of interest and adjacent, or if it's something that needs to go into the document, type it in, and just will add it live as we speak.
You've got data labels missing as well.
I'm sorry?
Data labels.
Data labels.
Yes, because that is part of the components which make up the sprinkler system. The data labels give you, at the flow switches, they give you the rate of water that is meant to be coming out of that system at any given point.
Yeah.
Thank you, Wayne.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yes, can I suggest that deflectors actually are part of the sprinkler head and not a separate item? And sprinklers and sprinkler head.
Oh, yeah, we've got deflectors actually further up anyway, haven't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, so take the green deflector off. That's it. And so you're saying, sorry, who's speaking?
Stuart.
Sorry, Stuart. Yeah, you're saying that it's part of the deflector head. Sorry, you're saying it's part of the sprinkler head, so it doesn't need to be separate.
Correct.
We've got the sprinkler head in there. Yes, we have.
Would you ever, from a maintenance point of view, need to replace the deflector?
No, you'd replace the sprinkler.
Replace the whole head.
Okay.
Oh, in that case, I think we take it out then.
And sprinklers and sprinkler head are the same thing.
Yes, that's a synonym.
Right, so get rid of the sprinklers at the top, Jess. Okay. Paul.
Yeah, sorry. I'm going back up to the introduction on the bit that Jez sent round. So above it, in the what is a sprinkler system, it just says on the bottom line. I don't know if it's it says a glass bulb type sprinkler head. Well, there's two types. There's a glass and a fuse type sprinkler head. So I think that's the sort of thing, if we're going to be giving guidance on it, need to be
absolutely
aware.
So we need to describe the other type as well.
Yeah, I've got a thermal element.
And one extra question is, how are you going to manage the panel and manage the sprinkler with no panel? What is it going to be? You've got down the sprinkler elements, but you haven't got what it's going to be linked to, whether it's going to be its own independent panel, whether it's going to be in a fire panel. How is it going to be? How are you going to monitor the actions, what happens with that sprinkler system?
The next thing down talks about dependencies, Wayne. So I don't know if that would.
No, but when you said the components, you've got the components. What are the components elements for a sprinkler system? You haven't got a panel down there, so there's no indication of how you manage that system. How do you get the information? How do you get the activation indications? How do you know where to look? There's no reference to a panel.
Sorry. Yeah, so should we put a panel on there?
There are several items missing from this list.
Right, yeah. Just stop. Can we just stop a minute? Can we go back to Paul, because I still haven't got an answer. I haven't had a chance to get an answer. Paul, so does that mean we need to put another explanation of the other type of sprinkler?
Yeah, so I've just put on the chat the definitions from the two British standards.
Fantastic, fantastic.
And how they operate through colour coding as well. All right.
Great, that's fantastic. You know where that goes, Jess? Yeah, excellent. Okay, sorry. So we need to put a panel on there, do we?
You've got 2 or 3 different types of panel. You have your local monitoring panel for the water flow alarms. You also have a panel for monitoring the pumps, and you also have an electrical control panel for both the diesel and the electric pumps.
Would
Right,
you
so
mind
there's
putting
three
those
panels.
Yeah,
That's
would
for
you-
Is that
commercial-
Stuart talking?
Yes.
Stuart, right, can you do me a favour? Can you put that in the chat? Then Chris can just can copy and paste it over.
What is this? Residential sprinklers only, or commercial and residential sprinklers?
No, we're talking about sprinkler systems full stop.
Okay.
BS 9251 systems are different from EN 12845 systems,
Yeah.
but they are
correct.
essentially the same. It's simply the scale that's different.
This whole purpose. This is just for residential applications. Well,
It
I
is
guess.
absolutely, yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get
However,
clarity
that
on.
said,
Sorry.
you will often have on the ground floor of a building. You may have a shop, so you're going to have the
Sorry,
12845 anyway.
But then
Right,
there's different systems.
right. Stop, please. Can we use the hand system? If you want to speak, put your hand up, because we've got so many people speaking at once, and I have no idea who it is. George.
Yeah, I would just say that although our focus should be residential, it's also the case that this is the Fire Safety Act, and therefore, as I understand it, it's relevant to all building types. In particular, as Alan was saying there, if you've got a mixed-use building, I think we need to accommodate all of those. So I do think, unless it's going to distract us hugely, I do think we need to cover both. That's my view.
There are
I agree.
buildings.
Right, stop. Stuart, you've got your hand up. Is that up from before?
Yeah, no, it's not, because I'm afraid we're missing the point here. You can't split this document now at this stage into, say, different types of standard, because there are many, and there will be more in future, high-rise residential buildings with an EN 12845 system in them, because
So
they're going to need to be high risk.
I think we're agreeing, aren't we,
Yeah.
Stuart? I'm saying that we need to accommodate both. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. So let's put into this section what we need to get put into this section. Alistair.
Thanks very much. Just one that jumps out to me, and I know it could be captured in valve types, but stop valve, which is a particularly crucial part of the system.
Stop. Yeah, I've got right. You put zone valves into the chat. Have you?
No, that's Alan.
Oh, sorry.
But stop valve is different to the zone valve.
Yes.
Sorry. Right. So can you put that into the chat for me, Alistair?
Yep, no problem.
Yeah. Okay, Wayne.
Padlocks as well, because you need to lock some of the valves to make sure that they're not shut down or closed off by accident.
Okay, put that in the chat for me, could you, Wayne? Oh, he's got it anyway.
I think that's one word, isn't it?
I'm not sure with water mist that we can actually accommodate it. I don't know what the others think, but it's
It falls under a different regulation, doesn't it?
there's different standards.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be in this paragraph.
No, and there's and
No.
all the quality stuff isn't in place yet for that.
Yeah, sorry. I put it in there as a do we need to mention it because we're talking about the British standard.
Yeah, I think
I've
you were
got-
being cheeky, weren't you?
I sort of was, but I've had a look through the standard while we were starting this meeting, and it does give coverage for residential buildings up to 18 meters and over 18 meters. So I mean, I know the industry can be split between whether a sprinkler system or a water mist system is, there can be a split about their opinions on that. But should we, if we're going to be giving guidance about suppression systems, as in general, do we include water mist systems as part of that conversation, or do we just ignore it and wait for it to be developed further, but the British standard that I've been looking at does indicate that it can be used for those types of buildings. So I think it'd be quite difficult to ignore it. But but
what does anybody else think about that?
Well, I'll just give you some facts, and then you can see where you go from that. So you've got a section in here on, as Stuart mentioned, approvals and certification of installers. You don't have that for water mist. There is a standard BS 9991 that has a lot of influence on what systems go into buildings. I'm on that committee, and I can tell you water mist has been excluded from it. So a lot of us feel that yes, it can work, but we're just not ready to standardize a lot of it, and I think you would struggle, frankly, to fit it into this system.
So basically, it's one for the future, but not for probably like next summer review, but not this time.
Yeah, I think so.
Is that okay with you, Paul?
Well, we are working on some of these things that are missing, but
yeah, I absolutely agree. But I just felt it's worth mentioning.
No, it was absolutely. I've dealt
with organisations that install water mist, and they've got their own opinion about how suitable they are. So I think just as long as we've had that conversation, that water mist has been considered, and I take on board everything that's been said. So thanks.
Cool, mate. Right, take that out, Jis. Stuart, is your hand still up from before?
No.
So it's now your hand is up.
Well, it shouldn't be.
Right. Okay. Thomas Roche.
Hi, it's just on the water mist element. I think putting it together with the sprinkler part is just confusing the matter. If it's needed, it should be a separate element in its own right. So you have one section for sprinklers, and then there'll be a separate entry for water mist.
Yeah, it's a different solution. That's what you're saying, Thomas, is it?
Yeah, and I think they may achieve the same thing, but I think if you put them together, it just causes more confusion for the end user.
So that's cool. So we're doing the right thing. Let's scroll down now to, are there any dependencies on other systems? Somebody mentioned something earlier, didn't they?
Yeah, it was me answering Wayne, but we've put the panels in, haven't we?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Oh right. Okay. Yeah.
I mean I think Alan, you originally did that, so presumably that's quite comprehensive.
Yeah, but I might have, even now looking at it again, the zone valves and the stop valve we didn't mention just above, which should have been there, and the labels.
Stuart.
Yeah.
One thing
Other dependencies, if you're talking about pre-action systems, which you may well be for IT, then you've got fire detection, electronic fire detection.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
So can we add that in? Fire detection systems, is that?
Electronic fire detection.
Yeah.
John Newman here. Can I make a quick comment as well?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I think in this section, boosted domestic water systems can be used for sprinklers. It's often overlooked. It's regarded as a potentially more robust system within the standard.
Would that be this dependency?
Yes, you might use. This happens very often in high-rise blocks as well, where you've got a boosted domestic water system, which is more than adequate for the sprinkler system.
Yeah.
Okay, Wayne.
Yeah, what I was going to ask was, what about penetration through walls and the correct mastic to be used for fire stopping?
We'll come on to that. This is just about dependencies on other systems.
I'm thinking about components, because you penetrate 9 times out of 10, the CPC pipe is going to penetrate a wall. So part of that penetration of the wall needs to be fire stopped. That is a component that needs to be correct.
Well,
Yes.
that's an installation instruction that needs to be correct, isn't it? We've got sections coming up on what information is required and what actions are required. So let's see. I think you'll find that that's covered further down, or if it's not, we can put it in further down.
Yeah.
Okay.
And anything else on here? Anything else on dependencies? No.
But I popped in this third-party certification. Again, it depends what your definition of a system is, but to me, the quality of a sprinkler system installers.
Yeah, we've got that. We come in. We've got a section on competency, Alistair.
Oh, perfect. That's fine.
Okay, let's go down to question 1A. What risks does a sprinkler system mitigate? What risks does it actually mitigate?
It depends on the telephone line as well, doesn't it? Because it's going to need to, if it's monitoring the system, it's going to need to be able to contact.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so that's in the previous section there. Just could you just add that in?
Sorry, where do we get a third of cases extinguishers of the fire?
That comes from me. That comes from me, Stuart. If you look at the data from in the reports that we've got, it's about a third of the time it actually puts it out.
We always say suppress or extinguish.
Yeah, it's in a third of the cases extinguishers, and in 94.5% of controls or extinguishers.
I thought we had data that showed it in domestic systems. It's 95%.
Actually, you're right. It is domestic. It's a bit higher. So yes, you're right. We should have that in there.
Domestic.
So where should this be?
Above in a third of cases extinguishes the fire. Above that, just above that. Controls. How would you like to put it, Stuart?
Controls and suppresses.
Yeah. Double P. Suppresses.
Yes.
Suppresses.
No, ES, not
ES.
ORS.
Yes, just.
What, 95% of fires?
Yeah. 95% of domestic and residential fires.
Yeah.
Right. Controls and suppresses 95% of residential fires.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Prevents flashover.
Prevents
flashover.
Flashover.
Yeah. One word.
One word, just flashover. Okay.
Do we want to say a number for property loss? Reduces property loss by 80%?
Yeah.
Right. Reduces property loss by 80%.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great if we've got some figures put on it.
Oh, we have.
By 80%. Okay, Thomas.
Tom Roach is being very quiet. This is his number.
He's here. He's coming now.
I'm going back up the list. When it says a sprinkler system mitigates fire load growth and fire load size, I don't understand those two terms.
No, you're right.
It doesn't make any sense from a technical perspective to me.
The word load shouldn't be there.
It just means load's not needed. Yeah.
No.
Take load out. Are we saying?
Yeah, yes. Please.
On both. Take load out on both, Jess. That's it. And the next one. Excellent. Excellent. Anything else?
Yeah, in the terms of fire temperature suppressed, I think it's just, it's not. That's also technically not the right word. It maintains a lower temperature in the room of origin. So I think you could actually probably take that out because that's dealt with by the prevent flashover.
Alan?
I agree.
Okay,
some of these came from me and some from others, and there's a bit of duplication here.
Sure, sure. Fire temperature suppressed. Just delete that. That's it. Fire temperature suppressed.
About the middle of the list.
After fire size, that's it.
Whoop.
There you go. There you go. That's it. Get rid of that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Insurance costs.
Well, that's property protection.
Yeah.
We had that. It's gone.
No, just don't put that in. It's covered.
I think we know what is meant by structural failure temperatures, but it's not perhaps very clear. I mean, the risk is that the temperature of some of the structure reaches a point where it weakens.
So do we just take out temperatures then?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Structural failure. So take temperatures out.
Yeah.
Right. Structure. That's it. Okay. Anything else? Right. Let's scroll down to question 1B. To what risks are sprinkler systems themselves susceptible? Basically, what stops them working?
I'm not sure about being turned off. What we need to be a bit more precise.
Well, not really, no, because we've, from an asset management point of view, we've discovered that literally them being switched off is a risk.
Sorry, how do you switch off a sprinkler system?
Yeah, people have switched them off.
Oh.
Sorry, how do you switch off a sprinkler system?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, if it's got a pump, you can switch the pump.
You close the valve, the manifold.
Yes, okay, so
That's why the padlocks are there.
Yeah,
The padlocks are there to stop that.
To
stop that.
So its water supply is disconnected.
Well, I think that in green is good. That's maybe one way they can be turned off, rendered in effect, inoperable.
But that's the whole reason why you install padlocks, so that people cannot turn them off.
Yes.
Well, all of these risks can be mitigated and solved. The point is that we're putting them down to ensure that they are. So being turned off is relevant. Okay, anything else? Just scroll down to the bottom of that section. Oh, there's just a few there, look.
Systems not being commissioned, we actually come across that as well. It may sound crazy, but we
I'm sorry.
Systems. Sorry.
Yes, systems not being commissioned.
Have we got that? No. Right, put that in. Systems not being commissioned.
Issues we've had as well is heads being wallpapered over, and
I think that's a really good.
furniture being put in front of the heads.
So the heads being obstructed.
Yeah.
Heads being obstructed by residents' action. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just heads being obstructed.
Sorry.
Why not just have heads being obstructed?
I agree.
Heads being obstructed.
Water supply.
Your commissioning thing also includes leaving the packing pieces on the head.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't see anything there regarding water supply. We don't always use tanks. Interruption of water supply.
Okay, interruption of water supply. Good one.
Yep.
That's what I said before.
What does temperature mean? You mean it's just too hot and it sets off the sprinkler? Is that what you mean?
Oh, frozen pipes. I was thinking.
Oh, frozen pipes. Yeah.
Well, that's improper specification of the head.
But yes, freezing is a risk, isn't it?
Well, let's explain. Yeah, make that a bit clearer. Temperature, shall we?
Yeah.
So what are we saying here?
Water freezing.
Water freezing.
Just low temperature.
And delete temperature.
Yeah.
But they on a lot of pipes where pipes are traveling outside, they put trace heating. Trace heating.
Yeah. Oh, there's ways to mitigate all of these things.
Yeah,
These are just the things that can go wrong.
Yeah,
exactly. Okay, anything else?
Have you got anything later on about a false activation of the heads?
Yeah, that can happen.
Because wallpaper strippers will set the heads off.
Oh, right, okay. False activation, good one.
But wait a minute, that's a sprinkler system operating as it should. It's a spurious activation rather than that being a reason why it won't work. So if we think technically,
that's why I said, is there anything later on about that? Because it does activate it, but obviously it's a
undesired.
It's undesired. It's something to sort of teach people to sort of say, look, if you're going to do this sort of work, let us know. Because I think, let's face it, when we're talking about a sprinkler system, things that stop it working is you just can't flow the water. So the valve is shut, the pump's off, or somebody's done something to obstruct a head so that you can't get stuff out.
False activation should be not false activation. I'm wondering if that should be in a different section, really.
It's not false activation. It's improper or spurious, because if you hit it with a wallpaper stripper, that's what it's supposed to do.
It should go off. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Make that improper, Cheers. Okay. Excellent. Anything else?
Can we scroll to the top of it again, please, just so that I can see all of it? Make sure that I'm not repeating anything.
We probably are.
I didn't see anything for product failure, because sometimes it can be a bad batch. The motherboard could have issues. Might work for a couple of weeks and then fail. Soldering could be I've not seen anything for product failure there.
Okay, no, that's a good point. Put product failure in there. Okay. Anything else? Okay, let's move down to the next question. Yeah, we've got some good additions in there. What information is needed about sprinkler systems to ensure they perform as required? Now we're looking to dig a bit deeper into the information side of this. And normally George will step in now and go into that. But I think yesterday we did it afterwards, George, didn't we? Which I think worked better.
Yep, sure. Okay.
Is that okay? Do you think?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, let's carry on question 2 then. Thomas.
Can you just give some context as who is the person who needs the information?
That's actually the point, that we don't there could be a whole range of different people that might want it. So what we're trying to do here is to gather together the information that it might be a designer, an installer, a maintainer, somebody that's doing inspections. Does that make sense, Thomas?
It does. It just, sometimes I look at it and think there's a whole raft of information here that you could provide that people may want, but is there, where you're trying to get to like a defined list for a specific person? But if we're trying to cater for all needs, this could get lengthy.
You definitely need the word category in there for everybody.
Yeah, lengthy is not a bad thing. If we can identify everything that people want, we can then filter it according to the need. So just take a look down here. This is by no means as long as the list for fire doors, for example.
Scroll down just to show the list.
That's it.
There you go. Yeah, this is a short one. Some of them run into pages, don't they?
Yeah.
It's probably response rating. Is that what we would say of sprinkler heads rather than heat rating?
Change
response. Change heat to response there, Jess.
It's also not mastic quality, is it? It's ensuring you use the right mastic.
It says heat rating, Jess. Make
of
it
sprinkler heads.
Right.
Two down from where. There you are.
That's it.
Response.
Category of system.
Bear with us a second.
Yes, given this is for residential, that's relevant.
Sorry, what's that?
Category of system.
Category of system, Jess.
That's a new one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Correct mastic, not mastic quality. Well, mastic quality, I guess is good, but you need the correct mastic.
Yeah.
No. What we want to know is what type of mastic it is.
So we want type of mastic.
Yes.
All right, put type of mastic and delete the rest of it.
Oh, hang on a minute. No, that's a point. What? Right. In fact, there's two. There's the type of mastic, and then the quality of mastic.
Right. So make a fresh one just under that one. Type of mastic.
Yeah.
I think it's more you want to know about the compatibility of the mastic with the product. So it's not sort of the quality of it, it's the compatibility of the mastic.
Mastic data sheet. That's what you're going to need to know. What
right,
that mastic is used
compatibility, Jess.
Hang on.
Wait.
Right, so the quality of the mastic or condition, maybe condition of the mastic is a better.
No,
because from a main
it's not condition.
It's compatibility is the most important word, I think.
Yeah, no, we're talking about. Remember, we're looking at building life. We're talking a bit in terms of maintenance.
Exactly,
the condition of the mastic is surely very important.
No, the compatibility. In residential, CPVC pipe is used, and sometimes within days or months or even longer sometimes. The compatibility of the mastic is very important because it eats away at the pipe.
We definitely need.
Oh yes, we definitely put that in there, but I don't think that is instead of quality. I think condition's better, George, though, don't you?
Yes.
Right, compatibility of mastic there, Jess.
Yeah.
Oh, with pipe, because it's with the pipe is the point.
Yeah. With pipe.
Right, with pipe.
Yeah.
And then on the one above,
change it to mastic condition.
Condition.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Anything else?
It's jarring with my grammar here. You've got compatibly. It's compatibility.
Compatibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry about the spelling. We'll correct this. The point is getting actually on here.
Yeah.
We're not going to leave it like this.
Yeah.
Compatibility. Yeah. ILITY. TIB.
That's it.
Okay. Compatibility. Yes. Get to you.
Almost there.
It's
okay.
Yes.
Right. So, anybody got anything else to add into there?
One thing I'm concerned about. Sorry, one thing I'm concerned about, maybe in a different section, is when it comes to testing of systems, we find some very spurious ways of use sometimes of doing flow tests. So I'm not sure if that comes on another section about ensuring that there's a uniformity in the way people test the systems, do flow tests, for instance.
I think that's an important thing here in terms of should we say how it was tested?
Yeah,
Is that
I'll
is
give a
that what
very
you're
quick
saying, John?
example, which I know Stuart in particular would find strange. There's a company, it puts a very short hose into a bucket and it does a flow test that way. It's been a bit of a nightmare for us because they differ to our commissioning tests, and then we find out that they just use little buckets to try and get an accurate reading, you know.
But that's
So what's just putting in here?
sorry.
I think there's two. We've got their test results commissioning certificates, but that I think that's probably those are two different things, really, aren't they?
It is. That's I'm wondering if it's in a different section, but
sorry,
no,
can you go back up to the title of this question again, please?
Yeah,
right, let's just finish this one, can we?
Yeah, it's the
No, I just wanted to see what the title was for the question.
What information is needed about sprinkler systems to ensure they perform as required?
Competency.
yeah, that would come into competency.
Right, let's just finish about
Because-
testing first, can we?
But that's
Yeah.
Test results.
that all deals with testing. Is competency. Because if you've got the right competency, you know how to test.
Yeah, okay.
We've got a section on competency.
So it's the information. So, but I think the point that was made is right, and that's that. Do we need to know how it was tested? So how do we express that?
Competency.
Method used for flow test, perhaps.
Yeah,
Standard.
method used for. Jess, could you put in method used for testing?
Is this a new one?
Yes.
Right, well, can we? Right, okay, do that.
It's a new item. It's a new.
Yeah,
bit of
I know
list.
that, but I'm still trying to get an answer for test results and commissioning. Are they two separate ones?
I think
Yes, they are.
we've agreed that. Yeah.
Right.
The relevant standard specifies how a system is to be commissioned and what paperwork and commissioning certificates are to be issued.
Yeah.
They will then show what tests were carried out.
How does the standard tell you what tests were carried out?
No,
The standard tells you what test how you're meant to test.
Good. And
Exactly.
How you're meant to maintain
include
it.
them in the certificate.
Yeah. So we need to know the test results then, don't we?
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Okay. So anybody got anything else to go in there? Stuart, is your hand up again, or is it still just you
That
just
was
leave
it. I'm
it
getting
leave
very-
it there?
Getting very frustrated here. Sorry.
Okay. Anybody got anything else to add into that now? Tom.
Can we just go back to activation strategy? I don't recognise that term. Are we sort of relating this to how we expect it to work? So once the sprinkler head operates, what alarms activate, what signals are meant to be passed? What I don't understand that term. That's all.
Alan, do you have a clue on that?
I don't think that came from me.
No, but would you have a clue what it means?
Well, I guess I think what Tom is saying is what it means. What happens when the sprinkler system operates? What alarms are sent and to whom? You know, does there an alarm go to a call center?
Right.
So it's a valid information requirement then, isn't it?
It just maybe it needs to be a bit clearer though if we're having to discuss what it means.
Activation alarm strategy, perhaps.
Cause and effects.
Yeah.
Activation alarm strategy.
And then in brackets, cause and effect.
Cause and effect.
And also connection points should be drawings and schematics, I believe.
Okay.
Right, brackets, connection points, brackets.
Sorry, where does it say drawings?
Connection points above activation alarm.
Right,
Yeah.
so that needs to say what?
Drawings and schematics.
Drawings and schematics.
Yeah. Easy for you to say. That's good.
Okay. How are we doing? Anything else? Right, let's scroll down. Right, question 3. What tasks are required to ensure sprinkler systems are installed, commissioned, inspected and maintained? Now, all we've got in this section is an example from SFG 20. So basically, we've got clear ground here, so you can run amok. Tom?
I'm going back to the previous one as put my insurer's hat on. If you switch your sprinkler system off, you might need to actually notify somebody. So
okay, that's good.
So in terms of
that's an action. So that comes further down, doesn't it?
Well, I just want to be clear that we sort of capture that, because that's one of those key things. If you isolate a system, what's your procedure? So we call it an impairment procedure to make sure you put it back on. So if we say one of the key failings of a system is you can leave it impaired, i.e. shut off when you're doing maintenance, you need to have a procedure that says, well, if I do maintenance and I shut something off, I've got a procedure to make sure I put it back on.
Right. So the impairment procedure.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay. Impairment procedure. Cool. Okay. So what tasks are required to ensure sprinkler systems are installed, commissioned, inspected and maintained properly? Right, well, let's start with installed, shall we?
Is it only down to, so are there any procedures, are there any recognized procedures that are followed to ensure that something is installed correctly?
It's got to be designed correctly before it's even installed.
Absolutely. But let's focus on installation. I mean, unless, Wayne, you're aware of some tasks, some explicit tasks. That's what we're looking at here. Are there any explicit tasks that are recognised that people should be following? I don't know whether you've got anything like that in design. You do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. Yeah. Have we got that for installations?
Interesting question. I don't know we have.
No.
Never seen anything like that.
Okay.
Have you got any suggestions of what would be on it? What you know, is there, as George said, is there anything that you think should be done prior to during installation?
Pressure test certificates.
The reason why I said design was because it depends on the location of the building. The building could be out in a field somewhere where the design would be different because you have to use a tank. I mean, you have to use the source of water, what's there. It could be a pond, a pool, a lake. So you might have to use that source for your water supply. Whereas if you're inside, if you're inside the city, you've obviously will have to install a tank. So it's the way it's designed before it can be installed that you have to get right. That's the reason why I went back to the design.
Yeah, we're not saying that isn't right, Wayne. All we're asking at this question, are there any recognised tasks that we could use?
There's a whole section on installation commissioning and documentation within the British standards. So why don't
is there?
Yeah, part 6 of BS 9251. I can go to the other British standard 12845 and find out for you. But it's
all in there, and also the impairment procedures in there too, in the annex.
Yeah, so
that's the insurer as well as the fire brigade.
Okay, should we? I'm cautious of putting simply references to British standards that people may or may not have access to.
Yeah,
I think
so let's
put them in. Yeah, let's put them in.
BAFSA has an information sheet which summarises all the information for maintenance of both types of systems, and we're very happy to let you use that text.
That's great. Stuart, could you put that into the into the chat as to
Yeah, sure.
that we can pick up on that? That's
Yeah.
exactly what we're trying to achieve here, Stuart. That would be great.
And in the British Standard, you can just take the highlights. It says commissioning. In addition to full visual, you do system air purge, leakage test, hydraulic test, alarm test, compliance certificate.
Yeah.
So you can just like list those. And then if anybody wants any more details, obviously they're going to employ a competent person to do this. If they don't know that, then
yeah, we're coming on to that next. Yeah.
Paul, would it be possible for you, not now, but could you copy those out for us so that we can incorporate something?
Yeah, but I have got to be careful not a breach of copyright for the British Standard. So I can give you a flavour. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, flavour's good.
Right.
Yeah, and also reference the standards so people know which one to. Because the problem is there are 800 standards referred to in building regs, each of which costs probably 200 or 300 quid. So I'm not talking about the commercial side of things, but it's just knowing which standard to go to.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's good to signpost, but if anybody's is in the profession of doing this, they should be able to get access to the standard. But for the person from like a lay person having a view and understanding, I think they're not going to get the whole full detail. So I'll post something together on the commissioning, and I'll take the flavour from both of the two standards that I'm looking at. All right.
Fantastic, thank you, and thank you, Stuart, for adding that on.
Okay, so we're saying that this one's covered with that input.
Does anybody have a view on SFG 20, by the way, just out of interest? Should we leave it? Okay, I think we'll press
let's
on.
Scroll down just to question 4. Which is something, right, what level of competency training needs to be in place? This has been raised by a number of you. We've got installation. What else have we got there? Maintenance. Anything else? Right, so competency training for installation and maintenance. We'll start with installation. Have a look at what we've got already. This is all pretty much generic stuff. If there's something that is particularly relevant to sprinkler systems, that would be good to know. Right, yeah, thank you for that. Remove references to the BSA. Where's the BSA?
No, not that one. Keep that one. Bit lower down. That one. Yeah.
That one, right. Anything else that needs to come out before we put stuff in?
Yeah, the LPS 1301 scheme is actually not being supported. It hasn't been amended since 2014, and and there are no companies, at least I don't believe there are any companies still listed to it.
Right, the one at the bottom of that page, the loss prevention certificate, take that out, Jess.
I would suggest that we should perhaps make it clear that 1048 is also used for residential installers.
Is it?
1048 is not actually for commercial, just for commercial. It covers levels 1 to level 4, and there are many small companies who do residential who are level 1 installers.
So they've had no.
Delete that one you've got highlighted, Jess.
Yeah, and I just think for sprinkler installers, delete commercial, put in sprinkler installers.
Yeah, right. Yeah, delete commercial and put sprinkler.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else? We've got a few more to scroll down to. Is there much more? Oh, just a code of practice. Should include training materials.
I mean, the 1048 scheme, as written, has a training requirement for designers. They have to pass an exam. So I'm not quite sure how you would express that here. And I'm not sure why you've given an exact reference for IFCC, because that's exact is a training company.
Sorry, where's that?
Where's IFC certification? Yeah, exact. There. Yeah, the bit in brackets is wrong.
Okay, take the brackets out.
Okay.
Is that okay? Otherwise, Stuart?
Yeah, sure. IFC is now Kiwa. It's Kiwa IFCC. KIWA.
Okay, so before the IFC.
Yeah.
KIWA.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Good.
And just above that, it says competency and training of installers.
Yeah.
That should be LPS,
yeah,
not LSP.
LPS, Stuart. Stuart.
Yeah. Anybody know what SDI is? I've never heard of it.
Yeah. That is a BAFE scheme. I don't know.
Somebody put that in the chat, I think, didn't they?
Yeah, take it out then. Just
unless someone can say what it is. I don't know that one.
SDI is the IFC schemes for the installers for the sprinklers.
Oh, that is the Kiwa IFC. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Right.
Pedro.
Okay. So leave everything in there. Scroll up again a little bit and let's just catch everything. Scroll up, Jess. Jess, scroll up. Can you hear me?
Jess, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, scrolling up.
It's not moving.
It's not moving.
You might need to share your screen again.
Is it moving now?
No. Right. Stop sharing, Jess, and then share again.
Is it moving?
Yeah, it is now.
That's
thank
better,
you.
Yeah.
So Thomas pointed out that actually there are.
Yeah, my apologies for that.
Sorry, Alan, what did we change?
Right.
In the chat, Thomas pointed out that there are some companies that have the LPS 1301 accreditation. So you can just into that list in the brackets there, LPS 1048, you could add LPS 1301.
And LPS 31. Sorry about that.
So where is this?
The green, go down to the green
competency.
bit. Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Right, add what?
That's
Put
it.
A slash and LPS 1301 after 1048.
Well, 1301's there.
Yes.
Oh, right.
No, it wasn't. We took it out and we shouldn't have done
Right.
I don't think there's an etc. Is there?
Yeah, take out etc. Just good.
Okay, anything else? We've got some good stuff in here. Often with the competency piece, we're met with silence. So this is all very good. Right, let's move down to maintenance. There we go. That's what we've got so far.
I mean, you want, I don't know if it should be said here, but you want the people doing the maintenance to have this accreditation as well.
Yeah, I think you should put it. Then.
Yeah, it should be in there. Yeah.
Is that desirable or is it mandatory?
Well, no, I don't think it's not mandated by the government. We would like it to be, but it's definitely desirable.
Right, so this is, scroll up, Jess. Right, this is the Kiwa IFC certification third party. That is that one.
No, it's the thing in green.
Oh, it's the green one. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so copy that green one and put it in the in under maintenance, Jess.
Yeah.
Oh, you've done it already. Excellent. Okay. Anything else?
Do you have anything here about, showing that people keep spares?
Yeah, I think that's a very good point.
Normally the installer would provide some spares. You might want to check they're still there.
Actually, that would be a risk to the system, wouldn't it? For question 1B.
It's funny that you should mention that, because I'm just about copying that out of the British Standard for it, about the number of spares, replacement sprinklers, and the stock of spares.
Yeah, inadequate spares would be a risk.
Yeah, so you need
so
many.
It's just go right up to 1B and put inadequate spares.
I mean, that's a major risk, isn't it?
Yeah, big time. Inadequate spares.
I mean, frankly, unless the sprinkler operates, you're not going to need to replace it normally. But then when that happens, you haven't got one. Could be a problem.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I mean, should we have spares in the information bit?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Are they adequate spares?
Mm.
Right, question 2, Jess. Right, are there adequate spares?
Yeah.
There.
THERE. That's it. Yeah.
That's it. Okay, right, now go back down to 4. There we go. Right, are we covered on this? Anything else?
We mentioned spares in this.
In this one, this is about competence,
Competency.
isn't it?
Yeah, ensuring that there's adequate spares.
Well, if we're going to put, well, that's not competence and training, is it?
No, I think if you've got it already above.
Yeah, that's probably enough. Yeah, agreed.
Right, let's go on to question 5. Right, this is about change management. How are changes from one product to another recorded?
So the purpose of this is twofold. One is looking at the gateways and the how do we manage design and build, for example, and is it likely, or is it possible, does it ever happen that the sprinkler system that was designed is not what gets installed because it gets value engineered down the line? That's one question. And the other is in 10, 15 years time, when the are there elements that get replaced, and therefore, would individual heads be replaced? I imagine they would, and whatever. So that was the purpose of this.
Okay, if you scroll down, again, these are generic. There's nothing specific to sprinkler systems in this, I don't think. I don't know if there is anything that would be specific that you want to include.
I use a term a lot when dealing with clients, future proofing systems. For instance, we get a lot of problem in Wales with Welsh water connections failing after a year or so because they reduce pressures or whatever. So we try to take this into account when we are designing systems. So future proofing is quite an issue. There are a lot of systems in Wales at the moment that are now failing, even though they were installed to the standard.
So is there anything that we can add in there from that, or should be added in? Tom?
It was more. It's along the same lines as John was talking about. Some of it is about. It's more when I think about changes to sprinkler systems that happen during a build. It's normally layout changes. So what was designed needs to be relayed out because the spacing of the heads is very critical, and it's that sort of thing. But so it's not really a product change. It's more a case of. It's almost that line, that bullet that says formal change management is, ensure that any unavoidable changes are validated by a responsible person, e.g. original designer or fire engineer, but particularly layouts. That's the sort of thing that I see happens that sort of catches people out, that suddenly the layout has changed. So you've got to relay out the design. That's a challenge. That's something that you can't really do on the hoof, or you should avoid doing on the hoof because that leads to problems.
So does that cover it, do you think, what we've got there?
I think it does. It's just terminology. And that maybe just sort of in the EG put there, like sprinkler layout or something like that.
Right, EG, sprinkler layout.
Well, it says the responsible person. The responsible person isn't a sprinkler layout.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right.
So any unavoidable changes such as to the sprinkler layout.
Right, any unavoidable changes such as to the sprinkler layout. Comma after layout and comma before such. After changes.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Anything else? Richard?
Yeah, I would say building layout might be a better word rather than sprinkler layout there. Because it's generally changes are made within building.
Yes, you're right. Yes, that leads to a change. Yes, yeah. You're right.
So sorry, how are we going to reword that then?
Just change sprinkler to building.
Right, change sprinkler. That's it. You got that.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, anything else? Yeah, that seems to. I think we've got that covered, pretty much covered for sprinklers, just on that one clause, haven't we? Okay, that I'm going to call that accomplished, because I think we've got a lot of work to do putting this together now. Right, let's hand over to George to go through his information piece, which will explain how we're looking to dig a bit deeper, with a bit more granularity on the information element of this document.
Yeah, so somebody was saying earlier that we want to know who wants the information and for what purpose. And that's exactly what we want to try and get to. So with all of the different asset types, what we're doing is we're following the RACI methodology, where we can say who's actually responsible for providing the information, who is accountable for it, who needs to be consulted, and who needs to be informed. So this is the sort of approach that we're taking. So for the information sets that were there already, obviously we've added to those today, which is great, and corrected some of them. What we're going to want to do is to say, right, who's responsible, for example, for determining the location of the individual assets, and you know, so what I'm looking for from this, we're not going to do this today, but what I'm looking for from this is people from you who are willing to maybe join another session with other subject matter experts to actually look at this from a point of view of determining who would be responsible for certain things and who needs to be kept informed. So if you're interested in that, if you'd like to be involved in that conversation, if you could put your name and into the chat with a thing against it saying data or process or application, you might be interested in all three of those, but we're probably going to do them in that sort of order so that we can then create this into something that then becomes more consumable, because by doing that, it means that we can start to filter out a lot of information and just present people with the information that they need, if that makes sense. The other aspect of this is that we want to identify which of this information is going to be static or not really changing, or which of it is actually going to be active and unique to every building. So for example, the manufacturer model number is probably going to be static and could be provided on a room data sheet, on a product data sheet, whereas the location of something, that is unique to every project. So therefore that's something that is, I accept the fact that once it's been installed, it's static, but it's a variable in comparison with the manufacturer's information. The connection points and things like that are probably going to be fixed, but and so will the test and commissioning information is going to be active or changeable, variable. So if you're interested, I'd be, obviously we're all volunteers, we're all trying to make the most of the time that we're spending together to the best effect. I think the reason you've dedicated this time to helping us today is because you bothered. So it's a matter of really using that to best effect. So please sign up and we'll invite you in. Okay.
Excellent. Well, it's been a great session. Certainly that document's going to be one hell of a lot better for your efforts, I can assure you. It's an ongoing process, and we'll keep you up to date with what happens, and you'll get a copy of the revised document when it's ready. Just to reiterate, if you want to get involved with the data, put your name in the chat. You're interested in the information, the data itself, put data. If you're interested in the process, put process. And if you're interested in the application of the data, put application. And then we'll see you soon. We've got just 2 more left to do after this marathon. We've got dry lining and dry and wet risers. So if that applies to anybody, join us Monday or Tuesday.
Could I just ask one?
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Could I just ask one other thing? one of the things that we're trying to do at the moment is help housing associations and councils make sense of the O&M information that they've got. So one of the requests that I've got is that if you know people who've been through that journey and have experience of being able to read and interpret O&Ms, that would be very useful if you could put us in touch with them, because we may have we're going to be doing a lot of that sort of work as active plan going forward, and it would be helpful if we can tap into people that have got that knowledge. And it might be somebody that's maybe even very experienced but semi-retired or even retired that is interested in some paid work for that type of thing. So if you could, if you know of people that have got that type of expertise, please let us know. Because at the end of the day, there's a huge amount of knowledge in the industry that just gets lost every year as people aren't able to engage. Yeah, anyway, that was that.
Okay, then with that, we'll say thank you, goodbye, and see you all soon. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Here's all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.